3D printer box, check. Large orange cat, check. Okay, I think we're ready to make another 3D printer review video. Okay, so this is the newest one from Creality. It's the Ender3 V3 SE. Yeah, so apparently the Microsoft naming department must have named that one. So the idea with this one, this is like their new entry-level printer, like the new Ender3. The box is kind of small, so I'm assuming this is going to be a bit more kit-like. Let's take a look at it. I went to VCF Midwest last weekend. I didn't make a video this year because really not that much changes at the show. It just gets bigger. Accessory packet. You've got the gum and the Tabasco sauce. Power cable. Oh, nice little screen. Okay, kind of old school. I never had an Ender3, but I do know the Ender3 is one of the most popular, best-selling 3D printers. Actually, it looks like it's pretty much just in two pieces. So you've got your, what's the thing called from Tron, the rectifier? You might want to unsubscribe when you hear this, but I didn't see Tron until I was in my 30s, and I was like, this movie's not very good. It's like The Matrix if they'd done it completely wrong. That's how I felt about the Super Mario Brothers movie from 2000 or 1993. The Super Mario Brothers movie was like showing you what the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie would have been like if they'd done it completely wrong. It actually looks pretty simple. Is there anything left in the box? Nope, that's it. Alright, watch out, bud. Yeah, so there's a base and a big cable. This plate looks very much like the one from the Creality K1. It's the same thing! Guess it makes sense. It's got a little bit more texture to it than the K1 did. It's kind of like halfway between being smooth and PEI. I like that they're including these magnetic plates on printers now. I just realized, yeah, the bed is the same size as that K1, yet the box was much smaller. The size of a box is actually important because the less volume a product takes in a warehouse or a store, the more economical it is. Amazon charges rent to retailers. Like even if you do like Amazon arbitrage where you're like, oh, I found this thing and I want Amazon to resell it. Yeah, they actually will charge you rent. So if the thing sits there long enough, it will become a negative profit. So this is molded plastic. I like these grooves because it helps you align this. It still moves a little bit. I'm sure there's still probably, whoa, that's not good. There's probably still aluminum extrusions inside of this. Oh, the bottom of it looks like a microwave or a toaster. Actually, no, there probably isn't because this is connected directly to the vertical extrusion. I wonder what software they use now. Does it use that new software that I used on the K1? It looks like it wants us to put 2 screws here. Okay. So if you get one of these, you should do what I didn't when you tilt the platform back and forth. Try not to let this move on its own. These things, if they move on their own, they can actually generate current in the motor, which can sometimes turn your electronics on. Which is not really desirable, so yeah, try to keep this, or slowly move it to one of the extremities and then lift up the base so it won't slide via gravity. The screen's going to attach over here with some M4x10 screws. It's weird, they have most of the screws in their own bag except for the ones I just did. They had 2 different screws in 2 different bags. So why not just have one more bag and then each bag has each set of screws. I'm pretty sure this connects the Z motor right here. Oh, and the Z motor has a synchronizer at the top. There's a belt, that way you only need one motor. Oh, they've got a slot for this. Oh, it even has a sticker telling you where to put it into the claw thing. How do we get it in there? That's the question. Does it go out? I guess it doesn't matter. Like that, I guess? It's a little close to that drive, but it should be okay. Oh, this is different. Look how they have the motor here. Wait. Oh, okay. So the motor doesn't move. Oh, that's probably to make it more compact, which again makes the box smaller, which makes it cheaper. That's probably what ultimately killed like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Get all these huge boxes taking up tons of space at the Best Buy versus $1,000 iPad, which was like, what, the size of a book? This is actually pretty simple compared to a lot of the bed slingers I've looked at. That's probably best. This part looks like it's flopping down onto the lever, but they thought of that. They have a little bracket here for that. Nice. Guess that's a good strain relief too. Man, that's gonna be pretty tight. There's 2 screws left. I'm guessing it's for this. Yeah, this is pretty easy to assemble. I think if I can do it, your average 8-year-old should be able to. And then they'll be like, yeah, I love printing. You're the best parent ever. That's what your kids will say if you buy them a 3D printer. If you don't buy them a 3D printer, they'll be like, ugh, Dad, I hate you. Ugh, I'm gonna go vape. Oh, they'll probably do that anyway. I'm only gonna give that about a 6. Remember, always double check the voltage on the back of the unit. Pretty much every one of these I've gotten has come set to 220, which is the voltage in China. So I just set this to America volts, 115. So yeah, make sure you do that. I think going the other way around would probably be worse, putting 220 into something expecting 115, but... And it's a good thing I checked, because when I plugged in the power cable, the power switch was already switched to on. Switch is turned on. I kind of want to take a look at the extruder. Where's the right key? Oh, it must be this one. All right, so it's direct drive. Oh, it's got a, probably like a knockoff BL Touch on it. Yeah, I thought it was gonna have a force sensor, but I guess not. All right, it says to load the filament before you do the leveling. Okay. That seems awfully close. Of course, this thing's all the way up. So, open the lever and push it in. This is a new entry-level model, so I'm guessing, yeah, there's no touch screen. You do everything with the wheel. So it looks like we're supposed to start with leveling. Nozzle heating, nozzle cleaning, nozzle auto Z offset. I thought I had a, ooh, that's kind of crunchy. Maybe that's not the way that's supposed to be. Looks like it's going to do a 16-point mesh level with that sensor. It also does a nozzle height adjustment. Is there also a force sensor in the nozzle? Maybe that's why they had me preload the filament. Yeah, this got bunched up just now, but I think normally you wouldn't be up that high. It got pinched behind there. Well, I can adjust that later if I need to, but... Oh yeah, the probe's out. Well, looks like it works a little differently than the BL Touch. It also has a metal tip. I like how this looks like a kitchen appliance. This looks like a food dehydrator or a Ninja air fryer. This is what they call a bed slinger. It slings the bed. Now that everybody's into input shaping, they've realized that you have way more variance in the resonance on this axis than on this axis, which is why most new printers are going Core XY, which is like what that is, where they've got the belt, the twin belt system. Bed slingers are still good. Auto Z offset. I wonder how it's going to do that. Yeah, because with a mechanical touch sensor, the system has to know the offset between the probe position and the nozzle. Oh, yeah, we saw that on the Maker Gear video when I put Clipper on it, which I still haven't gotten dialed in completely, so I might actually go back to the old firmware on that. But anyway, yeah, you have to figure out the offset, and usually you have to do that manually, but it says it's automatic, so I'm wondering how it's going to do it. Maybe it has a force sensor. By force sensor, yeah, like you'd have like a postal scale. It's a sensor that basically can detect deformation. Not defamation, deformation. And so it works, the nozzle hits something, the top of the nozzle is mounted via force sensor, and then it's like, oh, I've hit something. I guess I'll just keep talking while I wait. So on the, like we saw that in the Anycubics, they had force sensors, and they would heat the nozzle up first, because heating up the nozzle changes its shape. I mean, not a whole lot, but it technically does. That's why they want it to be hot when they're doing the testing. Oh, now it's doing something. It looks like it is using a force sensor. So it's got a nozzle force sensor and a mechanical depth gauge? That's weird. Oh, is this first extrusion? Star Trek, first extrusion. You guys are all in some sort of Star Trek. Alright, so now comes the part where it's probably going to do the 16 tests. Create a mesh. Oh, interesting. Did you see how it moved the nozzle to the position where the sensor was? So it's actually double testing it. That's cool. So yeah, it looks like it's saying, okay, this is where I... Oh yeah, that would be the auto Z offset, because it'd say, okay, here's my mechanical offset using the probe, and then it would double check that. Well, I wouldn't double check it. It would then use the force sensor to see where the probe is, and then it would know the difference, you know, however many millimeters the difference is, and then it would put that into the system automatically. Versus, like you've seen me do with the Maker Gear, where I had to basically manually dial it in. That's cool. It's like the best of both worlds. There's another Star Trek reference. It must be. It hasn't done it yet, but I assume it's going to do a 16-point mesh. Oh, maybe it's running multiple iterations of the probe to nozzle offset test. Because in reality, it would only need to know that once. That should never change, even though the bed might change. Oh, they've also heated up the bed. I like how they have an area here for the detritus. Yep, and now that it knows the offset between the mechanical probe and the nozzle, it can just do a mesh level with the probe itself, and then it should have all the data it needs. So yeah, I like this. This is very automatic. You don't have to go in there and like move a little piece of paper around. This would be good for new people. And good for me too. Oh nice, USB-C. I'm starting to kind of come around on USB-C, mostly because, I mean, I still think USB Mini is the best. But USB Micro was awful, and I'm glad to see it go. The European Union should ban USB Micro while they're at it. Looks like one final test, and I'm going to guess we're good to go. Looks like it's complete. Oh, yeah, there you go. Alright, well, let's confirm it, and then I guess we can go to the next step. Let's see. Oh, look, yeah, there's the Z. Oops, sorry, I'm blocking. Yeah, 2.62 millimeters. So that's the difference between the probe and the nozzle. That's what it would have just auto-detected. This is a little old school, but it'll work. And I don't know how much this printer costs. I'm guessing it's probably pretty reasonable. How do I get out of this? Oh, there we go. Okay, go to back. Okay, extrude. Homing. It needs to do all this just to extrude. The manual talked about this too, cutting the filament 45 degrees. I mean, I always do it, but the fact that they're telling you to do it must mean there's probably something in this printer where you kind of have to do it. It's probably how the grip wheel works. This drawing looks like something from like the Apple II. I was able to get rid of both of those restored Apple IICs at VCF easier than falling off a log. People were like, ooh, Apple IICs, gimme, gimme, gimme. Oh, I got rid of so much stuff. And now that I have a box, a new cardboard box, I can put things in it for Goodwill. $2.40, that's pretty warm. Push the filaments to the bottom and click OK. I'm pretty sure I already did that. And by click OK, you mean click confirm? Oh, it had some test filament in it, see that? Well, it looks like it's extruding, so let's stop this. How do I get out of this? It's gonna extrude to the end of time. If it's gonna sit there and just extrude endlessly, why did it go so close to the table? Yeah, how do I get out of this? Yeah, I actually manually turned it off because I got stuck in that menu. The thing just kept extruding. So that's not good because I've had this happen with other printers. Like you'll get a huge alien blob around the nozzle, and then if it cools, then your nozzle can kind of get stuck. Let's see. Motion. Oh, that's different than move. Okay. Oh, move is under prepare. Yeah, move. I'm not even going to assume. I'm just going to say it. I know this thing doesn't have Wi-Fi. Alright, so the software is the same Creality print we used with the K1, so that part should be easy. However, I want to like take a break and eat lunch, so I'm just going to run the cat file that's on the SD card, and then when I come back, we'll check out the software. Yeah, okay, again, I know this is an entry-level printer. This knob seems kind of backwards. It's not like they're putting capacitive touch screens on these things. They're all, what's the other one called? Resistive touch screens. So that part does seem a little old-fashioned. It's like the auto probing is really modern and nice. The screen is a little old-fashioned. You know, well, no, this doesn't have Wi-Fi. Yeah, so we're gonna have to use a USB cable or put the files onto the SD card. First layer, first print. I don't even know what I have to eat. What do I have to eat, bud? I wonder if that hamburger's thawed enough. Oh, I need to go shopping. It's moving at a fairly decent clip. That's got to be, what, probably like 150 millimeters a second? I mean, speed is like the new thing with printers. Not so much with the bamboo, but definitely all the Voron people. Also, I'm still going to build a Voron, so that is also in the cards. All right, I got to go find some food. Yeah, pretty good clip. Yeah, I assume it's printing well. It's just hard to tell because, yeah, the whole thing is covered with like texture. Let's see, about 18 minutes left. It uses the same software as the Creality K1, so I should be able to get that set up pretty well. Oh, it's a hollow part. There's nothing inside of it. It's quieter than a lot of the printers I've reviewed lately. I mean, it has, what, at least one fan here. Yeah, and there's a part cooling fan. Yeah, you can see that. Whatever that stuff is. Flapping in the breeze. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird how we have like these advanced stepper drivers, which basically make the stepper silent. And then we add these mega fans. Hey, this is a really great YouTube channel you should check out. Displaced Gamers. They go like behind the code of games like Strider, like why the Strider game is pretty awful on the Nintendo, and like how the tricks and glitches work and stuff like Castlevania. You should check it out. Displaced Gamers. It's super hardcore. It goes in like assembly language and stuff. All right, Creality Print. Okay, can I just add a printer over here? Add? Sir Moon series? You can put those on a mound. All right, Ender. Oh, it's already here on the software. Ender3 V3 SE. From the creators of the Xbox Series X. All right, nozzle diameter. Oh, so I can just drop down and change the printer. Oh, that's pretty cool. I would need to add some more parameters. Extruder. Oh, okay, so there's a lot more presets for the K1. Well, I could just change this prefix. 0.2 millimeters is fine though. Let's take a look. Blah blah blah. Then there's all this. Got you, suckers. 10%. Where's the speed? Here we go. Yeah, I was close. 180 millimeters a second. Of course, that's the maximum speed. Everything else will be lower than that. I realize why that printer is making weird noises. It's the part cooling fan blowing into the empty model, so it's like blowing into a flute. All right, 1 hour and 25 minutes. Let's see if it pops off. It's on there pretty good. It's on there really good. Wow, that it stuck really well, but also there's really no elephant footing, so I guess it just stuck very well. All right, I'm going to slice some stuff. I'm actually having trouble with the overhangs, but I'll get that set up and then we'll. Oh man, that's really on there. All right, yeah, let's find a model and we'll slice it up and then we'll print it after that cat's done. Gonna print one of my favorite parts again, because why wouldn't I? Yeah, it looks like there's only one preset. Maybe I can import more. Alright, let's hit slice. Oh, that's weird. Why didn't these overhangs render? What did I do wrong? I've got them here. Oh, maybe the overhangs only go to the... What's it called? Only overhang from the bottom. Oh, yeah. Only add supports from the hotbed. Well, wait, no. Wait. Yeah, it's unchecked. Strange. I'm having trouble adding supports on the underside of this piece. I'm going to go over to the K. Okay, let's switch to the K1. Just want to make sure it's not something in the settings. Interesting. That's the K1, it generated it. Now if I go back to prepare, switch to the Ender with the really long name. Same thing, hit slice. Yeah, look at that. It's not generating it. Okay, what's different? Okay. Whenever Notepad++ asks me if I want to update, it makes me think of that line from The Office where it's like, Dwight is giving a lesson on all the changes in martial arts. Because if there's one thing ancient things do, is change. All right, let's find look for changes under support. So build plate, angle, well, that should be changed when we update it, but we can double check it. Infill rate is different. Of course, the printer's slower. Brim was off. Offset, this is 0 and this one's 2. That's quite a difference. I think that's the offset from objects. Oh yes, I really need to update Notepad++. I'm sure there's all sorts of new innovations in the world of ASCII text. All right, let's go to support, blah, blah, blah. Support type. Oh, maybe that was it right there. Touching build. But, okay, so, right, so you come over here and you do support, and you have an option to only add support to the hotbed, which I have deselected. So I wonder if that doesn't affect the setting that we just tried. Let's see what happens. Yep, sure enough. Okay, well, there's a gotcha. Only it's okay. Well, let's see if this makes a difference, because in this case it wouldn't generate it there. Oh wait, but we've already generated it. Wait, let's try this. So let's go back here. Whoa, something just got disconnected. What the heck was it? It's not my microphone. Automatic support. Only add to the hotbed. Automatic support. Yeah, whatever. Okay, that made sense. All right, let's clear all supports. Well, it looked like that parameter was all we needed to change. Offset to, okay, so. Oh, don't tell me these aren't in the same order. Join no, they aren't. You know what? I'm going to leave the rest as it is because that seemed like it was enough to fix it. All right, so let's go. Let's add some. I know that this this is probably too much to ask, but I wouldn't mind if there was some sort of universal standard for like 3D printing software. They should put that into Windows, like Windows 11. Because I don't know, it's like everything changes. Like, oh, what button rotates in this program? What button moves the model? It's all kind of the same, but just different enough to trip you up. Because I think this is based on Cura. Yeah, Anycubic was using Prusa Slicer now. Okay, so now we should be able to slice this. Notepad++ saves the day. Okay, so this isn't a LAN printer. So export to local, and I'm going to put it on the SD card. 57 minutes, that's not too bad for this part. I would think it would be a little faster normally. I think it's around 45 on some of my other printers, my older printers. Yeah, the last few stringy bits from the last print, they were stuck really good. We'll take a look at these in close-up after this print is done, but the first layer, it looks pretty good. You can see the lines, but they have a decent amount of smush. Like something I thought on the bamboo was like, the first layer seemed like it needed a little bit more squishing. So this printer actually does, it does a lot of thinking as far as the first layer is concerned. I've already said this in the video, but yes, I've never seen one with a probe sensor and a pressure sensor before. And I looked it up, this thing is $200. So far, it seems pretty solid for $200. It definitely seems, what was that Anycubic, the first one I reviewed on a lark, and then I mistakenly became a YouTube 3D printer reviewer, the Anycubic Mega Zero. That was like $150, but that was like a special. So I want to say that's normally like $180, or at least it was at the time. So far this one seems a little bit more advanced for the same price range. I think that one only had a 12 volt hot end as well. This is with calibration on. It looks like it's doing a full 16-point test again. Yep, it's doing the full 16-point again. I mean, that shouldn't be necessary. I mean, I would think that would be stored in the EEPROM of the microcontroller. Oh, I did find out something about the bamboo. I was talking to someone at VCF about it. The bed leveling on the bamboo, you know how it's like, oh, do you want to level the bed when you do this print? It's actually stored on the printer until you turn the printer off. So you only need to level the bed once per session, or if you change the bed. So this mesh stuff here, this probably don't need to do this every time. yes, normally these printers store all this in the EEPROM, and then the software on the fly makes the height adjustments as the print prints. I want to take a look around the printer as it gets started here. This is plastic. The extrusion is aluminum, of course. So I almost kind of wish there was a piece of plastic around this so this felt more like a handle. I do like when the spools are on top. I've talked about that a lot because then you just have a straight shot down there. You don't have any curves or anything adding friction. Yeah, this motor mount here, this is really unique. Yeah, but again, I think they're just doing it to make it as small as possible. Yeah, they're going, well, they still have the rubber wheels going up and down in the extrusion. Underneath the unit, they have bearings on the rod. We saw that in one of those newer Anycubics as well. Yeah, because in the older printers they had rubber wheels down there, but you still have the rubber drive wheels going into aluminum extrusion on the x-axis. But we got to remember, this is meant to be a very entry-level printer, which is the politically correct way of saying cheap. Yeah, I need to make some single-headed controllers on Monday. All right, this is one from the Bamboo, so this is obviously top tier. Still got it laying around, so maybe we can compare it to this. That's probably not super fair, but, well, actually, you know, how a $200 printer compares to a $1,200 printer, I think that's a relevant thing to look at. It's a baseline, you know? The millisecond I get out of my chair, Bud jumps on it. Bud, are you a big, fat, orange cat? The main comment people have had who've met Bud in real life is, wow, he's big. He looks much bigger in person than he does on camera. It's kind of like the opposite of the Statue of Liberty. In the past, printers like this, where you've got a separated section here that you attach to a base here, they've had Z-switches here, which isn't really optimal because, you know, this piece and the head is always going to be relative to itself. But this is a separate piece along with the bed that is connected when you assemble it. So, you know, having a constant here doesn't necessarily translate to how it's going to, you know, relate to this piece. So yeah, I like how they did the probe sensing. It's a literal two-pronged approach, and yeah, it's better than having to switch on a non-relative area here because the surface of the bed's like that. Knowing exactly where the surface of the bed is, that's important. Looks pretty good so far. Yeah, this printer is pretty quiet. I kind of like this. This is like one of the quietest printers I've reviewed in a while. The setup was also pretty easy. I would say even a little easier than, again, some of the recent bed slingers I've done. Like, what was it? You hook up two motors and plug in one cable. It's, you know, well, it's going to be a lower quality screen because it's a cheaper printer. It seems like the knob might be a little too low quality. I can't imagine that a touchscreen really adds that much to the cost. So I would say that's probably a negative. Like, my big thing is, like, when something is mostly positive, I then just talk about the negatives. Like, Top Gun Maverick. It's an awesome movie. What are the negatives? It's a little too long, maybe. And the Navy would not fly jets sideways under bridges. There's no way they would do that. That's way, way too dangerous. That's like video game stuff. Everything else is great. Anyway, speaking of flaws and something that's overall pretty positive, yeah, I would say the screen and the controls is probably one of the weaker points. Because remember earlier, I was extruding some plastic, and I'm like, okay, it's extruding. How do I stop it? And I couldn't get it to stop. I don't know if I got into an error or something, or if there was something wrong with the state machine. You know, I basically, something must have been wrong with the code because I was stuck. I actually had to turn the machine off. That's also a complaint on the, what is it, the Bamboo P1P, is that the screen is like this old school, like monochromatic thing with like very limited controls. I don't know, I guess I've just gotten really used to touchscreens on these. It's like making videos like this just feels like I'm talking to myself. If I'm doing one of these videos like in another room and Bud's in the other room, he gets super jealous because he thinks I'm talking to somebody else. He's such a jealous, needy cat. Like if I'm hanging out with like a friend or something in like the garage, oh, he hates it. Oh boy, it's done. Yeah, you can definitely see some ringing here on this axis, but that's a bed slinger for you. Oh man, it's on there really good. Ugh. Oh, there we go. Here's the Creality cat. There's like a lot of whiskers and detail. But that detail also kind of looks like printing errors, so. Is that really the best example file? You can see some under extrusion there. Probably because you got the straight collar there. I think I might manually adjust the Z. I saw an option for that. I think it is a little too tight. Although there really isn't any elephant's footing. I guess it's a verb now. You can see a little bit of a gap there by the eyeball. Same filament. This is a much more straightforward part. Yeah, you can definitely see the ringing on the sling axis. I think that's why everyone's into the Core XY now. Other than that, the print quality is pretty good. I mean, this is a consistent circle, so it's not like the cat. Oh, that printed nicely. I didn't even put any overhangs there, just printed like that. And that looks really good. You can plop a screw right into that like nobody's business. All right, let's take a look at the top. Again, this is 0.2 millimeter layer height. So as you come into these plateaus, you're going to actually visibly notice the 0.2 millimeters. Detail of the arrow resolved pretty well. Now some overhang issues there, but that's not the printer can't help that gravity exists. You printed in space with no gravity. Oh, I mean microgravity. Well, see, that's the thing. There is gravity in space because you're in space. Like if you just like were out in space and you just were somehow completely inert, you would fall toward the sun. Or like the people on the ISS. The reason they're floating in the air, it's the same reason people float in the air on that vomit comet thing. It's because the space station is falling to Earth at the same rate it's orbiting Earth. Well, having gotten that out of the way, so I started playing Starfield. I am having a real hard time getting into that game. It doesn't feel like it's advanced at all. Like the environments, the inside of like buildings and stuff, they look really good, almost like too good. There's like too much stuff laying around. It's like, what do I take? What's a valid item? Who knows? But then you like you look at the faces. It's like you're back in Oblivion. Stop right there, criminal scum! All right, those are moved pretty well. Let's try interfacing it with a cap printed on another printer. Actually, here, this cap was printed on the bamboo, which I guess is the gold standard now. Oh yeah, it fits perfectly. Yeah, these overhangs get stuck a little bit. Oh, of course, I could... Oh, wait, what am I doing? I can't cut toward myself. It's not the Boy Scout way. There we go. A little bit of smuts there, but again, that is the file. Here is the bamboo. I should probably go into Mesh Mixer and like just sand this off digitally. It says 180 millimeters. It seems like it's probably not quite that fast. It's probably being slowed down. So I've got other printers that run at 150 millimeters a second, and they'll do this in about 45 minutes. This was 57. Oh no, it's the map from Starfield. Z offset, negative 2.62. Should write that down and then change it. I think I should make it, I believe, a lower number, or, well, a higher number, so it'd be like negative 2.59 or something. I like that you can do it in tenths. Some of them only let you do it like in 0.3s. Alright, so back, print. If you use an X-Acto knife, you can peel it off, but no, you shouldn't be using an X-Acto knife near this surface, so yeah. Hopefully I didn't go the wrong way with that offset. Well, if it works like the BL Touch, then the BL Touch is lower than the actual nozzle. So the nozzle is like negative 2.62 millimeters above where the probe is. So if we lower the number, that means it won't move as far to offset, which means it should be more open with the filament. And if we obviously if we lower the number too far, it'll be just be printing in air. Well, we'll see what happens. Oh, and you're not going crazy. There is a computer monitor that just spawned behind this printer. I'm like setting up a new pinball programming work from home computer. I used to spend most of my time working down here in the basement, but ever since I started doing that new pinball project, I work upstairs in my office. I think I had a better work from home life balance when I worked down here in this shop lair. The rest of the house was just like normal life. Bud was better then too. I mean, he's It took him about 6 months. Like for the first 6 months I was programming upstairs 4 days a week. He did not like it. He was being a real whiny jerk about it. Yeah, so I used to do I do all my soldering stuff here. But now I only work on those controllers, single-handed controllers, maybe like one day a week. I have this whole rec room area of my basement that I don't use. It just has pinball stuff piled up in it, like the Swords of Fury that's been here forever that needs fixed. So yeah, what I want to do is I want to do like a standing desk here. This is the water ingress. The guy just built something over it. So yeah, I'd like to put like a standing desk here, and the pinball, I can't show you that machine, but the pinball would be over there. Like the next one I'm going to program, not the one I'm doing right now. Flooring from Menards, like one of the rebates. I think the rebates are like all full, like 11% off. Do like a laminate flooring, well, like interlocking laminate flooring. So that probably cost me about $700. I want to have another PC here. So since I never use this part of my house, it's just for storage, really. So this will be my new work from home area. And since I never spend any time here in other parts of my life, that'll be good. Instead of programming 4 days a week on the same PC that I play PC games on, or like Call of Duty and stuff. Yeah, for like almost the first 2 years I had Bud, I could work in here. Even if I closed the door, he would just deal with it. Nowadays I let him in here when I'm in here, but yeah, he used to be okay. I would close the door and he would just hang out in the rest of the house. Once I started working upstairs though, which was like, July of 2022, for some reason that just really bothered Bud. He's gotten better about it now that I put a cat bed under the pinball machine I've been programming, but yeah, it took a while. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop this because I have what I need. Oh, that support part didn't print there. Why are you going away from me? I'm not behind you, I'm in front of you. Oh, now you're coming back. Oh, you tease. Shoot. Did I go in the wrong direction? No, it is actually a little less compressed. Actually, yeah, let's try this part. Oh yeah, that's much easier to pull off. All right, I'm gonna print it again. So now I just want to make sure I can print the whole thing without accidentally falling off. All right, let's try removing this one. That was easier. That support didn't stick for some reason. Well, this is definitely easier to get off. Maybe I shouldn't have freezed it like that. Yeah, that's better. The thing is, you gotta remove this every time, otherwise it's just gonna pile up for the next one. This one's kind of sticky though. Printing some of my analog stick domes so I can test the first layer adhesion. It looks like it's pretty decent now. The strip on the left though is still kind of difficult. Maybe I should re-Z the whole mesh again. But yeah, I adjusted it not a whole lot. It went from negative 2.62 to negative 2.59, which is, what is that? A tenth of a human hair? A human hair! Okay, everything must be measured in human hairs, Olympic-sized swimming pools, and football fields. Those are the only measurements. So some aliens watching. So you're worried about aliens thinking the Imperial measurement system's dumb. Those aliens watching our TV show is going to be like, why is everything measured in Olympic-sized swimming pools? How many people have really even seen an Olympic-sized swimming pool in person? The super aircraft carrier is longer than 5 football fields. Why don't you just say 500 yards? All right, let's give it a shot. There we go. Nice hiss. Yeah, the print quality is pretty good. For $200, I don't think you could go wrong. Just wish the screen was a little better. I'm going to do another multi-mesh level. And now if I have to manually redo the Z, I will. Yeah, it's this line over here on the left. It feels like it's way too sticky. Which is weird because I thought it did mesh leveling. It should know that this part of the bed must be higher. But I thought it was going to compensate for that. Time for an overview of the Creality Ender3 V3 SE. Let's start with the pros. It's very reasonably priced, $200 is a nice price point. It also moves pretty quickly for an entry-level printer, much faster than entry-level printers of the past. The dual probe system for the Z offset is also a cool thing to see. I haven't actually seen that in any printer before, so that's kind of cool. And also, the print quality is pretty good. It's not the greatest print quality. However, for the price range and the speed, it's definitely acceptable. And I also liked how the build platform was fairly large, despite the fact the printer's physical footprint isn't that large. It actually has the same printing volume, at least on the XY axes, as the Creality K1. So for negatives, I would say the biggest negative is the screen. I really feel this could have had a touch screen and that would have been a lot easier to use than the knob. And while the dual probe system is cool, on mine, I tested it several times and it seemed like the first layer was on the too tight side, so I had to manually go in and adjust the Z so the parts weren't sticking that tightly. It wasn't so much that it was hard to remove the parts, but it was like the little test prints and the test lines and the skirts. Those were actually kind of difficult to peel up because they were stuck right to the platform and you couldn't just wrench it off like you could a tall part. Yeah, but other than that, I would say it's a pretty solid printer. So if you're looking to get into 3D printers, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, $200 is not too bad, especially considering, how expensive printers were in the past. And even compared to like a $300 Ender like 5 years ago, if you take inflation into account, this is actually a really good deal. So yeah, I would recommend it if you're looking to get into printers. The only real negative overall, I would say, is the screen, but who knows, maybe you could upgrade that in the future.